If I said to you right now, what is something that you know to be true that you don't live? That you know is nutritious to your soul and you don't do it? I guarantee you got at least one. And you probably got a massive one that's really causing you pain and you know it's causing you pain. And I'm saying stop pretending you don't know. You're fucking Yoda, except you're not a little green guy. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mark Rose Podcast. Today, I wanted to talk to you about change and what happens when we change, and not only what happens to us, but how does it impact the relationships in our lives. And I want to talk to this because I want to be able to normalize that when you step into true change, into transformation, and you start to find your voice, have boundaries, express yourself, step into joy, quit drinking, quit smoking, lose weight, all these types of things, what can happen is you will face resistance, maybe rejection, maybe even feedback that is meant to get you back, quote unquote, in your lane, back into the behaviors that have been agreed upon in the friendships, the relationships, the family, the group that you are part of. It's normal when we're part of a system, and you could think about it in your family. If you're the one who kept quiet and you never really shared your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings, and all of a sudden you are now, or you didn't have boundaries, you didn't express yourself, and you are now, the system and multiple people in the system will try to get you back into your role of maybe being the people pleaser or the caretaker or the person who puts everyone else ahead of themselves. This is what happens when you change one aspect of a system, the other aspects of the system have to change. So when you think about our own behavior, if we're someone who generally adapts to the people around us, we accommodate the people around us, we're on eggshells to the people around us, we're oscillating to the people around us, we're conflict avoidant, then we are reacting to the world. Now, I would argue that almost everybody is shaping who they are and their personality in accordance to what is in their environment in order to ensure group membership. This is normal. As Gabor Mate talks about, all humans have two needs: the need to self-express and be authentic, and the need to belong. But when self-expression threatens belonging usually wins. But it's not winning anymore with you because you're saying, I actually can't do it this way anymore. I want more for my life. I want more for me. I'm following my gut, my intuition, my heart. I'm going to use my voice. I'm not going to tolerate any bullshit anymore. I'm going to live my life for me. I want joy. I want happiness. I want to wake up every morning vibrant, alive, excited about the life that I'm creating. It's normal to face resistance when you're in a group that all had similar behaviors to you, right? So if you're in a group of people that always complain about their relationships and all of a sudden you're excited about your relationship, the group has to accommodate the new version of you. Maybe you don't have anything to complain about. Then how do you connect? If you're in a group of people that everyone gets smashed all the time, none of these are judgments, by the way. They get smashed all the time, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to get smashed anymore. I want to be present to my life. I want to deal with the pain that's below the blackout drinking. I don't want to smoke anymore because when I do it, I feel bad. There's something within my body. It's an inflammatory behavior. It causes inflammation in the body. So I don't want to do it anymore. And then the people around you, what happens generally is there's an unconscious resentment or desire to get you back into where you were because they recognize you're making a choice they haven't been able to make. Now, I would argue below all addictive things or all behaviors that are about feeding dopamine, like phone addictions, like food addictions, all that kind of stuff, when we start to excavate that and get to the pain below it, then we're dealing with what we really need to deal with, right? Like the wrong question is why the addiction, the right question is why the pain. When you start to deal with your pain, the people who are numbing their pain the way that you have start to be resistant to your lack of numbing. When you're self-expressing and pointing at the truth, the people who are afraid of the truth will want to stop you from pointing. When you're in a relational dynamic where you maybe take each other for granted and all of a sudden you're like, I want more from us. I want more from me. I want more from you. I don't like the way we communicate. I want to do it better. You're standing for something. You're standing for love. You're standing for truth. But if the way that you've been relating, let's call it the Macarena, and it's the friction confrontational conversation, the reactivity, all that stuff. If all of a sudden you're trying to break free of that and you're inviting the two-step, imagine if you're dancing with someone who's still doing the Macarena. They're going to try to get you into the old foot positions because they don't know the new way. There's two parts to this. We invite them to the new way, right? And we're like, hey, there's a new way, and I want to do this new way. And then there's the part where we have to recognize where we can no longer stall or abandon our growth to accommodate people who do not want to grow. Like, can you imagine shrinking yourself to accommodate people who don't want to stand tall? Like you shrinking your power because the people around you are afraid of their own power. Your power represents their own lack of power. So they try to control power. That's how power dynamics work in relationships. This is one of the hardest parts of true change, but it's like, can you hold on to the sovereignty and space of who you are and potentially lose people? And the reality is not just that fear is very real, but the possibility is real. And it may and perhaps will likely happen. But can you let go knowing that in your liberation is their liberation? In your expansion is their expansion. They just might not know it yet. A lot of people are slaves to behaviors that they don't even know they're imprisoned to till they witness someone not imprisoned anymore. It's like when we see someone step into the full possibility of pursuing a passion and we're like, are you kidding? They're crazy. I mean, people said this about me when I left being a pharma rep. He's crazy. What's he doing? These jobs are like golden handcuffs. Like, how could he leave this? For what? For that? To teach about relationships? Oh my God. Like, he's crazy. He's never going to be able to make the same amount of money. What about the retirement package? What about all the things? These are all the offers of, are we willing to compromise our integrity, our soul, our expression, our possibility, our potential? Are we willing to compromise that for some level of quote unquote certainty, some level of security? Now, I'm not minimizing that there's a time to create that foundation, to take the leap, to jump off the bridge, right? Cross the bridge, the cliff. You know what I'm saying? And you know, when I was leaving being a rep, I remember talking to Lisa Nichols and saying, do you just quit your job and go for it? And she said, no, you use your current job as the investor in your future. That changed the context to my job so much. So I say all that because if you look underlying the behavior of self-abandonment, limiting self-expression, not becoming all of who you are in order to minimize the effect and impact on the people around you, one, that's codependency, but two, that is seeking belonging ahead of belonging to yourself. That is about accommodating others instead of accommodating you first. It is not selfish to prioritize yourself for a relationship. It's necessary to have a self to be in a relationship to another person. Otherwise, the relationship is just a completion of who you are. And that's only a romantic line in a movie. That's not actually a romantic life. Because if someone says that you complete them, then that means that if they lose you, they're not complete. What a responsibility that is for you. It sounds nice to say, it's not nice to be. And we often do this. We say, I don't know who I'd be without you. That can be true, that our possibility is born through the love of someone else, that we recognize that through loving them, we recognize we've had a deficit in the love for ourselves, that through them saying, I love you, you're so incredible, we start to actually feel a part of ourselves that knows we're incredible come alive. But to then use this object that we're in love with as the only mechanism to come alive, the only mechanism to find completeness or wholeness, that's a facade. It's a romantic ideal. It's not romance, though. It's not love. That's a hook into one another so we can't leave because we're afraid of not being alone because we don't know the power of our own aloneness. So I say all this because it comes back to one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard from Francis Weller. And that is that we spend our lives looking for a place of belonging. And at some point, we have to become the place of welcome. That quote really speaks to that. The first part of the journey till we're an adult is about chasing membership. It's about being part of a family, which is part of the evolutionary need of maturation. But most of us miss the initiatory process that truly moves us from adolescence to adulthood, or even from being a child to being an adolescent and then an adult. We get stuck in these developmental stages where it's about other people, or it's about avoiding other people and rebelling against connection or chasing connection. But at some point, we have to become connection. We have to become the fulcrum, the reference point of what's possible when someone stands in the integrity of their values and their heart, that they say, I recognize that there's more available from me. I'm going to take all of that's available from and for me, and I'm going to actually live it. I'm not going to sit on a pile of knowledge anymore and pretend I don't know that I'm fucking powerful, that I've got potential, that I can kick ass, that I can create incredible shit. And now there's aspects to how we do that. The first part is that usually life delivers us some sort of fucking 2x4 to the head or a dump truck, and that's the rock bottom. And it's not always drug related or alcohol related. It could be illness, it could be body, it could be anything. It could be a breakup. I think that's one of the most frequent ones, where we finally are like, holy shit, I forgot about me. What about me? And then we will often go into new patterns or play whack-a-mole with our addictions or adaptive strategies instead of actually turning towards ourselves and standing fully in ourselves. This is what meditation is. It's about getting present within yourself, listening to everything that's going on within you that's asking to be heard, but also asking to be cleared. The residue, the memories, the things, we sit in the storm and we let them move through us. We're present to that they are just past memories. They are just experiences. And I'm not minimizing them with the word just, but saying they're not here now. They're memories, though, and they feel very much real. And the limitations that you were taught by the people around you about what was possible for you, what was possible for a relationship, what was possible for business, what's possible for your body, what is possible for your fitness, what is possible for your health, what is possible for your wealth. Everything is possible. But you've been taught that there are limitations to all of these things, that you inherited all of these things. You can't do that. It's genetic. You can't do that. Now, granted, we're talking about biological limitations that do exist. We're not going to grow an arm back that isn't there. But if we've been taught limitations about what's possible for love, you can blow the roof off that. The limitations on what's possible for wealth, blow the roof on that. What's possible for health, blow the roof off that. Look at how most of us eat. We eat the way the people around us eat. We eat the way we're taught by the government and the food industries and how we're lobbied to. We're told that the quick way out is a quick fix of whatever it is. Our attention is being siphoned and monetized. And we don't even know what's happening. We're saying that, oh, I have ADHD. Of course you do. You're being conditioned through short form content to not be able to be present to anything else because you're so used to constantly having dopamine hits and being elevated and escalated and always high as fuck on everything, on every digital bite that's biting on you. And then you've got porn. I mean, in one porn movie, you could see more titties than you would have seen in your whole life. In a tribe, except for the tribes where everyone's titties were out. But you know what I'm saying. We're a pornographied, digitized, dopamine firing up everything. And it's like, can you take your sovereignty back? Can you take your attention back? You don't have to drink to connect. You don't have to do what everyone says. You don't have to follow those rules, because those rules are just keeping people comfortable. And really, there's a benefit off infantilizing you and telling you you don't know. There's a benefit off saying that you're not powerful. There's a benefit off that. It's monetizable. And actually, the pain of not being aligned to your values is really the source of your addictions. That you are right now sitting on a pile of knowledge. That I'm like, if I said to you right now, what is something that you know to be true that you don't live? That you know is nutritious to your soul and you don't do it. I guarantee you got at least one. And you probably got a massive one that's really causing you pain, and you know it's causing you pain. And I'm saying, stop pretending you don't know. You're fucking Yoda. except you're not a little green guy. And you're like, I'm trying. But what did Yoda say? There's no such thing as trying. There is do or do not. And we have to get to that level of radical responsibility. Now, the importance is that we need to surround ourselves with people who hold themselves to a high standard, because then we start to adopt their standard by osmosis. We start to adopt their ways of being and their behaviors, and we start to step into that level of fire, because we actually see that by being around people who step into an unlimited space and are unlimited in how they show up, that we become unlimited too, because we see the evidence that it's possible. We see the evidence that it's there and it's available for us. And truly, life is about connection, and it's about community, and the rest is fucking bullshit and details. It's about being connected. It's about surrounding yourself with good people. Not just that, it's about being one of those. It's about letting yourself be held and supported, and it's about supporting and holding others. It is not about only taking up space or only giving and never receiving. It's about being interrelational. It's about having needs and meeting needs. So if this point hasn't been nailed into you enough, how important your relationships are, your communities are, you stepping into your power is, then let me reference some science from Harvard that will rock your socks. And that is the Harvard study on adult development. This is one of the longest running studies on adult development. And it was originally looking at men who went to Harvard. At that time, there were only men there. And it was assessing their health, their well-being. It was comparing them to some of the poorest areas of Boston so they could look at the socioeconomic impact of adult development. So they could also look at the socioeconomic impact of human development. Now, here's what they saw. That the greatest predictor of your health at 80 was the quality of your relationships at age 50. Not your cholesterol, not your blood pressure, although certainly markers. The most potent predictor was the quality of your relationships. Not just your romantic relationships, but your relationships of all kinds. Now, the director of the study who I had on the podcast, his name is Robert Waldinger. And he said, the surprising finding is that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. Taking care of your body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too. You choosing who you want to be and who you surround yourself with, and building the skill set to create an aligned life, one that is aligned with your integrity and your values, where you're stepping into the fullest potential of who you are. That is not just a responsibility to you, that is a responsibility to all those around you. And if you have a child or children, tap into the power of that. Tap into the power of what you are handing off, of what they are inheriting. And it is never too late to hand a different set of bags and take some back. It's never too late to hand some up the family tree. But we have the privilege and the opportunity of doing this work. There's a skill set to being great at relationships. There's a skill set to self-expressing. But none of that skill set will be of any value if we don't tap into the courage that comes through stepping fully into ourselves and also surrounding ourselves with people who believe in us. So this is my wish for you, is that you hear the call of this episode, that you hear, if it is speaking to your soul, to just remember that it is normal for your relationships to experience challenges when you are changing, when you are becoming. But allow your community to shift with you. And if it can't, allow yourself to shift and draw in and attract new community. As I've said before, when you get access to a no, when you get access to a self, you actually get more access to a yes and more access to what's possible from an authentic space of what you truly desire with your life. With all that said, I'm so excited because I'm creating a community that's about cultivating just that. That's about bringing together a giant group of people who want to create. They want to step into their fullest possibility. They want to shatter through limit beliefs. They want to wake up excited about their lives. They want to have relationships that are nourishing and create communities and families that they're so pumped to be around. This is not a fantasy. This is a possibility. This is possible for all of us. So I'm kicking off this community, which I'm calling Aligned, a 30-day challenge that starts on July 1st, where we do a live teaching every week with coaching, where we look at the 4 pillars of what it means to live an aligned life. It's going to be incredible because so much can change in your life in just 30 days about bringing yourself fully and into integrity with the knowledge that I've been talking to you about. When we surround ourselves with other people who want to create the same things, we get the contagion of that. We hold ourselves to a new standard. And then we start to just sense and feel the brilliance of the transformation that occurs in our body in that short period of a time, in our hearts and our souls. We wake up excited about life, about what's possible. If this sounds like something you want to be part of, go to markgroves.com/aligned and sign up now and save your spot so you can be a founding member. I can't wait to see you in the community. And if you're not feeling called to that, all good. Sending much love to everybody. All I wish for you is transformation and change, and for you to really embrace and step into all the richness that life and love has to offer you. And I hope you have a beautiful day.